Welcome, ghouls, to our 8th episode of Shrouded in Darkness. This is your true crime-obsessed host, Marlena, and I am thrilled you've joined us. As promised in our last episode, I'm offering you a small break today from the tales of true crime. I'll throw these bonus episodes in every once in a while, too. Stories about cool places, strange creatures, stories that make you wonder if they're real or make-believe. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite places, although I've not actually visited yet. We're talking about the Winchester Mystery House. Situated on South Winchester Boulevard in San Jose, California, the mansion is the residence of Sarah Winchester. She is the widow of William Wirt Winchester, who happened to be the treasurer and heir of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Sarah was known to be a woman of independence, drive, and courage. She was also very spiritual. In fact, it was the spirit of her late husband that convinced her to move from their home in New Haven to travel west to California. In 1886, 5 years after her husband had passed, Sarah purchased an unfinished 2-story farmhouse, and the construction of the infamous mansion begins. From 1890 to 1900, this small 2-story farmhouse grows to an incredible 7-story mansion. The construction continued even when there was the Great San Francisco earthquake in 1906. This was actually when the 7 stories become only 4. That's actually how it stands today. Sarah supervises any additions herself. She directs the workers on their next task. And this continues for nearly 40 years. All the way until Sarah passes away in 1922. And legend has it that the reason Sarah insisted on construction being nonstop was to keep those spirits away. And these weren't just any spirits, mind you. These were the spirits that had their lives claimed by the guns behind her late husband's name. After Sarah passed in 1922, the home she had worked so diligently on was deemed worthless, mostly because of its odd construction and its design. Thankfully, though, it did sell eventually in an auction, and it was leased to John and Mamie Brown. The Browns eventually purchased the mansion and opened its doors to the public in 1923, with Mamie acting as the first tour guide. Since the Winchester Mansion was open to the public, many visitors have spoken about their experiences. Electronics would fail, footsteps could be heard where no one should be, cabinets opening on their own. It seems those same spirits that plagued Sarah were still there today. Today, the home is owned by Winchester Investments, which is a company that represents the descendants of the Browns. Over 12 million people have visited the Winchester house since its doors first opened to the public. It's been designated as a California Historical Landmark and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It's considered a top destination by USA Today. It's also considered one of the top haunted places by multiple media outlets like Time Magazine and Travel Channel. To this day, the Winchester Mansion is known as an architectural masterpiece and wonder. With its stained glass windows and high-end decor, the home is truly a sight for all. Altogether, the mansion has 4 stories, 160 rooms, and 24,000 square feet. There are 40 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, 2 ballrooms, 47 staircases and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 10,000 windows, and 2,000 doors. There are quite a few interesting facts about the Winchester house, too, and we all know how much I enjoy sharing those with you guys. The number 13 is quite significant to the home and Sarah herself. It also happens to be my favorite number. Well, so 13 goes back to her spiritual beliefs and her superstitions. She used that number a lot in the creation of the home. 13 hooks in the closets, 13 overflow drain holes, 13 parts to her wheel, 13 steps to staircases, 13 panes in windows, and so on. Another odd fact about the home, some of the construction really had no reasoning. For example, some of the doors would open to a blank wall, and some of the staircases led to nowhere. I've seen pictures where you open the door and it's just a wall, or the stairs, you look up and see the stairs leading to a wall. There's no room. There's no open area. My personal favorite tidbit, though, is Sarah had a special room that no one else was allowed to enter. This was known as her seance room. It's where she would communicate with the spirits. This is where she would learn what construction needed to happen next. One final fun fact. Harry Houdini himself visited the house in 1924. He had heard stories about the house and the ghost, and he was so curious, he decided to check it out for himself. Unfortunately, little is known about his actual visit, other than the fact that he left with more questions than answers. As I said earlier, I've not had the option or the opportunity to visit the Winchester Mansion, but I do hope to one day make it there. I feel like anyone that steps foot onto that property is going to be left in complete awe of what it is. I truly feel it's a masterpiece of architecture like no other. So have you visited? Have you heard the stories? Any ghost stories? Any more interesting facts? Reach out and let us know. As always, credit is due where credit is due. Today's research comes from Wikipedia, Mental Floss, and the Winchester Mystery House's own website. And you can check that out too. It's winchestermysteryhouse.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Please connect with us on social media. You can find us at shroudedindarknesspodcast. And don't forget to share your feedback, give us your show ideas, and ask your questions. Catch next week's show where we'll be diving into another unsolved case. We'll see you next time, ghouls.